Let's try BL20 disassembly. Remove the battery cover by sliding it down. Place your finger in the groove below the battery to remove it. Undo the 6 screws, 1.4 by 3.5, on the rear. To separate the I/O connector from the rear, push it slightly toward the opposite side of the I/O connector. Pry up the part between the rear and the Deco front with a spatula and remove it. To separate the main PCB, remove the key Fpcb connector on the lower end and the coaxial cable on the right first. Pry up the 5 mega camera and then the main PCB. When prying up the main PCB, be careful not to tamper with the main Fpcb on the lower end. Remove the main Fpcb connector connected to the rear side of the main PCB. Pay attention not to tamper with the main Fpcb and bring down the slide open. Remove the Deco on the upper end. Remove the 4 screws, 1.4 by 1.8 on the lower end of the upper. Remove the 2 screws, 1.4 by 2.5, on the top end of the upper. Pay attention not to break the main Fpcb and move up the slide closed. Pry up the hinge from bottom to top and remove it. Remove the Deco lower. Use a pincette to remove the insulator attached to the Slider PCB. Use a pin set to remove the speaker and the motor from the upper. Use a pin set to remove the main Fpcb after separating the zip connector from the main Fpcb. Use a pin set to remove the Slider PCB after separating the zip connector of the Slider PCB. Pry up the LCD and remove it. Remove the coaxial cable on the rear side of the hinge. Remove the Deco front and the key Fpcb. Open the hinge and then remove the Deco front. Pay attention to 4 hooks on both sides and 3 hooks on the lower end. Separate the key Fpcb from the hinge. Watch out not to tamper with the key Fpcb connector. Separate the sub-PCB from the shield can. Pay attention not to tamper with the main board to subboard connector. Remove the shield can from the main board. Be careful with 3 hooks. Remove the 5 mega camera. Remove 2 antenna screws, 1.4 by 2.7. Use a pincette to push the hook part on the rear deco and remove it. This has been BL20 disassembly. Let's try BL20 assembly. Put the rear deco and the rear together. Place the rear and the antenna in each place and add 2 screws, 1.4 by 2.7. Add the 5 mega camera to the main PCB. Put the shield can and the main PCB together. Put the main PCB and the sub-PCB together. Attach the LCD to the upper. Put the Slider Pcb and the LCD together, and then try the hook on the left first to attach it to the upper. Attach the main Fpcb to the Slider PCB. Add the speaker and the motor to the upper. Pay attention not to tamper with the wires of the speaker and the motor, and place it inside the guide tower. Attach the insulator to the Slider PCB. Add the Deco lower. Open the hinge and then combine the key Fpcb with the guide hole. Be careful not to tamper with the key Fpcb connector. Combine the Deco front with 5 hooks on both sides of the hinge and 3 hooks on the lower end. Put the key Fpcb and the Deco front together. Combine the hinge with the coaxial cable. Put the hinge to the hook part on the top end of the upper, and then combine it with the upper. Be careful not to tamper with the main Fpcb, and pass it through the hole in the center of the hinge. Add 2 screws, 1.4 by 2.5, on the upper end. Combine the slider Deco with the upper. Open the hinge and add 4 screws, 1.4 by 1.8, on the lower end. Watch out not to tamper with the main Fpcb and lift it up open. To add the PCB, pay attention not to tamper with the main Fpcb and bring down the hinge closed. Combine the main PCB with the main Fpcb connector. Pay attention not to tamper with the main Fpcb. Put the main PCB first to the hook on the upper end of the hinge and then add it. Combine the key Fpcb connector and the coaxial cable with the main PCB. Add the 5 mega camera to the hinge. Be careful to place the 5 mega camera inside the guide tower. Combine the rear with the hinge. Try the I/O connector part of the main PCB first, and then the rear. Combine the rear with the hook of the Deco front on the lower end. Add 6 screws, 1.4 by 3.5, onto the rear. Insert battery. Slide up the battery cover. Turn the power on. That's all for BL20 assembly.